Today, we will look into the world's most famous, mysterious mountains from around the world, some of which are a hotbed for UFO sightings, while others are known for mysterious disappearances, eerie legends, and encounters with cryptids. Welcome to Mysteries with a History. We will be taken on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. And with each episode together, we will peel away the layers to look for the truth. This is a really, really exciting topic. So let me bring in my co-host, Jimmy Church of Fada Black Radio. Jimmy,
You just
happy
love
Thursday.
doing that. You love doing that. You love doing that. She she does it, man. She's like you. I guess I know what to do when I would just want to be brought in.
Exactly.
Break out makeup, do my hair.
You do the signals. You do the signals. And I'm like, okay, now I know that he's ready to come on.
Well, I'm excited about today's show, but not for what everybody thinks. I have to unclick my chair so I can rock it back. Because we get to go back to our traditions for the show, which we have forgotten and have lost the last few episodes. I get to turn to you and say, where'd you come up with the idea for today's show, Cristina?
That's a great question, Jimmy. So first, I have to preface this one actually, because as many people know, a lot of our regulars here on this channel are aware that I graduated university with a degree in communication and business. And I had told them, I said, as soon as I get my diploma in my hand, I'm going to tell my parents about what I do. They haven't known all this time.
Do they know?
I told them, and let me actually tell you their reaction. They yawned.
Really? Oh, so you built up all this tense, all this.
Well, no, so here's what happened. They were like, "Oh, that's cool, Cristina. Like, okay, it's not, really for us, but I'm glad that you're having a good time and you're doing it.
Did you give them links?
We watched a few of our episodes together. Okay,
Right,
Jimmy, these episodes that we do, you and I was like, I showed my parents and I said, dude, this is so cool. Check this out. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And I said, so you guys, are you going to tune in every week? And they were like, you know what? I'm just happy that you're happy, Cristina. I'm like, thanks, guys.
All right. Oh, okay, so you graduated.
So then that leads into your question. Okay.
Right.
Both my parents love mountains. They love mountains. And I said, this would be a great topic to get them into it. So, hi guys. Alama. Hi dad. You ready?
Really? Okay, so I have to behave and all that stuff. Okay. All right.
They've already seen our shows, so they know what's up. They know what's coming.
All right. Good enough. So, which also, I was thinking, and I'm again, congratulations. That's a huge achievement, and for graduating and things. But I was looking at this as possibly because of the RV fund and everything else that you're kind of scouting locations too as well. Is that part of it? Yeah, for sure, right?
Oh yeah. So it's killing two birds with one stone, but minus the killing part, where I do research for the shows, but also writing some stuff down. And instead of going here, going there, going over there.
Yeah. Well, okay. So some of these locations that we're going to be discussing today are here in the United States. And I know you've mentioned this a lot on the show, destination number one, right? Top of the list. And I'm assuming Skinwalker Ranch, but you have a list that you're mentally putting together. I do this all the time. And so some of these locations are here in the United States and not necessarily around the world. Now, let me start not with the location, but let me start with a general statement. As most everyone knows, I have spent the last year or two traveling around the world. And I just one of the things that I enjoy the most is when you're out there with nature is the mountains, hills. They're mystical. It can go back to Lord of the Rings for a lot of us, and but when you see and the stories behind all of the legends of the past that center around mountains. Mountains are majestic, they're huge, they're big, and in some cases you can't conquer them. There are still people think, and we're going to get to this, that everything has been climbed. No, it has not. And we're going to be talking about that today as well. So, but as I have traveled, the higher you get in these mountainous areas, the more the legends grow. And I get that. I totally get that. And the reverence and the respect that the cultures have of these mountainous regions. But as the higher you get, maybe it's the lack of oxygen. I don't know. But the higher you get, the crazier the story gets. And I really enjoy that. So yes, yeah, I'm absolutely intrigued, and I enjoy going to these places probably as much as anything.
The mountains, there's something so special about every single one of them, no matter what part of the world you're in. It's always these legends and how the people in that area respect the mountains more so than other parts, maybe like a desert or an ocean, which people respect oceans as well. But mountains, it just has this level of not only interest but extreme respect for. And so, starting off with our first location being Mount Adams in Washington State. This is a location that has had its fair share of UFO sightings, cryptid sightings, strange disappearances. But, Jimmy, what's so perfect and what's so awesome about this particular mountain for you is that you've had an encounter there personally. And I
Yes.
think that is a great place to start is with a personal story. So please, what
Yeah. Oh,
happened?
yeah. Mount Adams, that whole area, by the way, and we're going to be talking about Mount Shasta too, as well. But you have Mount Rainier, these a collection of volcanoes in that part of the Pacific Northwest. And there you can see Mount Adams there. Mount Adams, it's a volcano, okay, and you can see the volcano shape. And this view of Mount Adams right here, it is so in my head. Mount Adams to me has two peaks. You see the two right, so the one on the left, the more rounded one, and then the other peak on the right. And mountain climbers will go. They start on the right hand side, and there's a base camp over where the tree line is. And they climb up the side of the mountain and then hike across and rope, and it's pretty treacherous. I think the mountain itself is 14,000, 15,000 feet at its peak. And that's pretty high, by the way. But Mount Adams, this is Bigfoot country.
Washington
Before,
State
right,
is a
right.
Bigfoot country.
Yeah. And so you have the Columbia River just south of there. Oh, by the way, DB Cooper, right? The hijacking that we have discussed before. This is where he jumped out of the plane, right? And the Columbia River, which is just south of here, it just adds more to the mystery of the area, right? That's where his cache was found, the DB Cooper cache on the Columbia River, which is just a few miles south of this view that we're looking at here. But the Yakima Indian Reservation surrounds this area. Lots of Bigfoot sightings. Now, specifically, my beer can UFO sighting happened in this image that we're looking at here. But let's stop there for a second. I shared that experience with a group of people, and one of them sitting to my right during all of this was one Mr. Steve Murillo. But prior to that, Steve went up with a couple of friends of mine, and Michael Oming, the artist that does, the Jimmy Church Fade to Black graphics. Michael Oming and Steve Murillo and a group went squatching. So they go up to the Yakima Reservation and they hike on a trail and they head up and they find in like a cave area. It's a cave. It's an entrance. They find some Bigfoot prints and they make some casts. They also found Bigfoot prints along the trail, and they were pretty massive. So Steve calls me, Cristina. I'm on my way to film my TV show with the History Channel. I'm in the back of a car. I'm in traffic in LA early in the morning, and Steve calls me on my phone. Dude, we just got back from we found Bigfoot prints, and he tells me the whole story on the phone. I said, man, I'm taping my TV show today. Why don't you come on the TV show? So Cristina, I call my director, I call the producer, I call History Channel. I said, this is going on. And Steve walks onto the set with a cast. It was this big of a Bigfoot print. And this was kind of my introduction to Mount Adams. And now a couple of years later, Steve and I again, right, are at Mount Adams, and we're sitting there, and that's when the beer can UFO happened. So looking at this image here, all right, the peak that is on the right, I'm pointing at it with my finger like everybody can see me. Cristina, move your mouse pointer to the right, the other peak, right there. So yeah, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. That's what I see. You can back out a little bit. That's what I see in my binoculars. Okay, move the image a little bit over to the left, a little bit. No, the other way, the other left. Move it over. Stop right there. Okay, so I'm with my binoculars. That's what I'm looking at. And I'm looking at birds are flying. I'm looking at nature. And at that moment in my blissfulness, out from behind that peak that you see right there, this giant, now I'm 14 miles away, but that's what I'm looking at in the binoculars. And from behind the peak is this, and I've described it as a beer can. So here's my coffee cup. It's spinning like this, and it comes out from behind the mountain. And it's spinning slowly like I'm spinning this. It's not spinning fast. And it's black. And on one side of it is a silver circle here. And I could see that silver circle come around. It's like silver on the top, silver on the bottom, black in the middle, shaped like a can. But it at that distance and seeing this, now the whole sighting lasted about 15 seconds. I jump up, I start screaming at the beginning of it. I see it. And video, pictures. And everybody that is around us, they're like taking pictures for her. They don't know what they're aiming at. Steve next to me goes, "Oh man, I see it. It's spinning." And it was. And I sit back down. Now this is like 5 seconds later, and I sit back down and I look back into the binoculars, and I'm looking at it, and Cristina, I freeze it in my brain. The sun is coming in. There's no clouds in the sky. It's just a blue sky. The sun is shining on it. I'm looking at it in the binoculars, and it's razor in sharp focus. And I can see it. So I just look from top to bottom, and I just get it. I don't want to forget, right? And I just look at it. It's spinning, and it's moving from left to right. And I thought, and it was moving so slow, that we were going to look at this for the next hour as it moved across the sky. And so I get off the binoculars and I look at it with my naked eye, and it's tiny. in the binoculars, it's big. It's 14 miles away, but you can see it spinning. And that silver thing, that round thing that's on it, watching the sun as it's spinning around reflect off of that was pretty remarkable. Anyway, I go back to the binoculars, and as I'm going to look into it, Steve says it phased out. And I go, what? And I look, and it's not in the binoculars. And I look back, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. And I don't have anything else to add. The part that was so disappointing for me is I'm glad that I saw it appear, but it came from behind the mountain. I would have rather have seen it phase out. That I didn't get to see. And it happened in that moment when I went back to the binoculars. And everybody said the same thing. It just phased out. Crazy. Now, and here's the other part about this area. This is where Kenneth Arnold had his first sighting in 1947. And he was flying past Mount Rainier when he first saw the group of, now coined the term, right? Flying saucers, flying towards Mount Adams. And this cluster of volcanoes, and there's like 4 or 5 of them in a row. It's pretty interesting to hear Kenneth Arnold say in his accounts over the years, I was flying past Mount Rainier, and I followed them towards Mount Adams. And it's just part of the mystery of not only the Pacific Northwest and the Yakima Indians and Bigfoot and T.B. Cooper, my beer can sighting, and all of the other sightings. I've had many, 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 many sightings in this area. But it adds to the mystery, doesn't it?
It does. And what's something that is a bit disappointing is when you're attempting to look up information about Mount Adams, you don't get a lot of people relaying their UFO sightings, even though it is classified as a UFO hotspot and people do have sightings. They just don't report them. And that can be very detrimental to researchers. So, for those that are listening, watching, if you've had a UFO sighting, please report it. It makes it much easier for people such as yourselves to go to these locations, collect data, and then hopefully have a sighting for yourself. And so, first, I want to say, Jimmy, thank you for sharing that story. I know you've shared it a handful of times on your channel, but we have so many new viewers and listeners that for many people, it's like, whoa, Jimmy had a sighting? This is insane, especially since you classify the shape as a beer can. I would say today's terminology, it might be classified maybe as cylindrical shaped, possibly. But
I,
when you're mentioning that it's a beer can shaped, are you referring to that in the front and the back it was completely flat while the middle was cylindrical?
yeah, it was, when it looked like a beer can. It's exactly what it looked like. A black beer can, and it had the silver, I wouldn't say chrome, but a silver top and bottom, and this round thing on the side just looked like a beer can logo. But there was nothing on it. It of itself, there was nothing to it. It was black, had the silver top, silver bottom, and the silver circle on the side. That could have been anything. From that distance, maybe it was something else, but it just looked like a silver circle. But there were no protrusions. There wasn't any writing. There wasn't anything. Christina, I got a really good look at it. Okay, for a good 5 seconds, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I looked at it from top to bottom, and like I said, it was crystal clear, razor sharp focus. It was amazing to see. It wasn't vibrating, it wasn't fuzzy, it wasn't moving fast. No, I got a really good opportunity to take the perfect gander. I mean, I just put it right into my eyeballs.
And
And
there was no wings, no
no,
exhaust,
no, no, no,
nothing
no,
like that.
no. And when I say this is exactly what I saw, just spinning, moving across the sky. And I'll share this with everybody. Um, when you least expect it, right? I'm just looking at birds. Right? I'm looking at this majestic mountain. That's all that I'm doing. And then boop, just popped up. Just I mean, I can't tell you what went through my mind. It was an oh my gosh, right? Just like the hair standing. I mean, it was pretty crazy. This was also the location of the what I call the hangar door, the opening. And that video, I haven't looked at it and checked it for a long time, but that video got millions of views, millions.
Yeah.
And it was pretty remarkable to see that entrance, that doorway there. Did an expedition, Expedition X went up there, and helicopters and everything else. But there's been some remarkable things that have been seen on top of that mountain. They went up there and insisted that it was just a discoloration. No, no, no. I photographed that and shot video and looked at it for days, and you could see the debris coming out of it and floating down the mountain, which they did not see. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just mysterious. Could it be an entrance? Could it be a portal? Could it be a vortex? Lots of mysteries surround this part of the country for sure.
There's also been some occasional reports of strange sounds heard from Mount Adams, from unexplained booms to even mechanical noises, adding to the atmosphere of mystery there, maybe even solidifying potentially what people would think would be a hangar in that mountain as well. Because obviously, mechanical noises, they are not natural. I have to call them mechanical, right? So for that to just casually happen in nature, yes, it's a really big head scratcher. Now, could there be a military base in that mountain? It's a possibility. Could there be an extraterrestrial base? That would make anyone's day if that were true. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It's
it's
a very special place. I mean, it's not just Mount Adams. It's that entire area between the border of California and Oregon, where Mount Shasta is. We can't forget that's where the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot film was done. Right there, all the way up to the border of Washington and Oregon. It's a big chunk of country, largely uninhabited, unless you're along the 5 freeway. It's nothing but forest and mountains and volcanoes. It's a very, very special area for sure.
It is, and there are other locations across the globe that have very similar anomalies and mysteries happening in and around mountains, volcanoes, hills as well. Jimmy, I will pass this next one on to you because I picked Mount Adams first. So which one do you want to cover next?
Probably my favorite. Now
You
they're all
have a
favorites, right?
favorite? Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was like,
but
what?
Mount Kailash, Mount Kailash, and now, do you have an image of
I
Mount
do.
Kailash? Okay,
I'm
pull
going
this
to
up
pull it up.
because this mountain is probably the most beautiful singular thing that you can see. And this is, do you have another view? We can
This
stay with
is
this one. We can stay
This
with
one
this.
is my main one, and then this one's kinda lead
Okay,
into the
stop right there.
story.
Look
Okay.
at that. Right? Just take a gander. I've said gander twice in the same show, but that's what you do when you're talking about mountains. Mount Kailash stands, Kailash, Kailash, stands at 21,778 feet. That is high. I just got back from Peru. I got to 15,000 feet. I've been to Mammoth. That's tall. I've stood 21,778 feet is high. Mount Everest is just shy of 30,000 feet. From being considered the abode of the Hindu god Lord Shiva and being considered the center of the universe, I'm going to get back to that in just a bit, to being, are you ready? Unclimbable. That's right. It's also a hot spot for UFO sightings. There's lots of secrets and fascinating, mind-boggling stories that surround Mount Kailash, but it is also considered the spiritual center of the universe in Hindu cosmology. It is believed to be the axis mundi, the axis of the earth, the cosmic pillar that connects the terrestrial realms with the divine realms, the center of the universe. Now, despite that breathtaking beauty that you've got right here on the screen, Mount Kailash remains unconquered. It's an unconquered summit. And like I said at the beginning of this show, we would think, right? Mount Everest has been conquered. Hasn't every peak in the world, everything at this point been conquered? No. This is an unconquered summit.
And so
Magnetic anomalies that are around this mountain have been detected in the region, and people lose their orientation. There's time slips. Witnesses claim to have observed UFOs maneuvering in and around the mountain. Some suspect a UFO base, an ET base inside of the mountain. These objects also exhibit unconventional flight patterns, high speeds, sudden disappearances with people. But pilots not only have experienced lapses in times and time dilation, but they have claimed that they can't fly. So they try to avoid this mountain because of their instruments being interrupted.
And so this Mount Kailash is located in Tibet, and what's very unique about Tibet is you have where the two religions meet with Hinduism and Buddhism. Now people are going to say Buddhism is a philosophy. It can be either or. It just kind of depends on who you ask. But pushing that to the side, because Mount Kailash is home to Lord Shiva, which is part of the Trimurti with Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. But it's also said that that is the place where Shiva defeated the demon king Ravana. Now, on the other side, Buddhists believe that Mount Kailash is the place where Buddha Shakyamuni, which was the original Buddha, attained enlightenment. Now, when I say original, I'm referring to the one that brought the noble truths, the eightfold path to the world. That's what I'm referring to when I'm saying the original Buddha. But so this mountain is so significant when it comes to these two cultures, these two religions. And so those that have attempted to climb this mountain, because there have been many people that have attempted, and a lot of yogis and gurus want to go to Mount Kailash to hopefully attain enlightenment as well. But here, as the alleged cases go, is that those that have attempted to climb the mountain have encountered very strange phenomena, including rapid aging, mysterious disappearances, and dealing with time slips, as you had mentioned, Jimmy, as well. And so when we're looking at this mountain compared to other ones, there's only less than a handful, at least to my knowledge, where, as the legends go, at least, is where when you climb a mountain, you are going to age more rapidly. And so that would mean, and again, my knowledge is very limited when it comes to this aspect, but I'm going to assume here that it means it has to do with some type of dilation with time and also with gravity in order to believe that you are aging more rapidly. There have been people that have attempted to climb there saying that their hair grows faster, their nails grow faster, they feel like they are getting older. Now, that could that all be psychological? In some aspects, yes. You might look at your nails and say, wow, they look so much longer than they did yesterday, right? It could just be from a state of mind. But if it is measured, then it would be a little bit more difficult to brush aside. But this location is very strange. And it's also in an area in Tibet where it's restricted. It's restricted land that you can't just casually get on either. And that right there is very interesting.
Yeah, is that because of the respect to the spiritual side and aspects, to the mountain? There's that part of it. There's another part with mountain climbers not conquering this mountain. You would think that it would be a challenge. There is no recorded or documented history of anybody attempting to climb and get to the summit. Now, is that out of respect to the mountain too, as well? And then you flip it over, and the description and experiences of people that have walked to the mountain where minutes can feel like hours, but the experience of the people that are not with that group, hours seem like minutes. It's the opposite. So people come back off of the mountain, man, we were up there for a couple of days. No, you weren't. You've been gone 15 minutes, right? But I grew a beard. Right? My nails are like it's a very, very strange situation. And then you combine that with pilots and other explorers, they can't depend on their compasses. Everything acts erratically. So you don't have a sense of direction, you don't have a sense of time, and combine that with the two lakes that are there that absolutely have had historical references to UFOs and spirits and balls of light entering and exiting these lakes. And these stories go back way before modern times. These stories go back thousands of years, Christina.
You bring up a really great point about that, about the lakes there, about UFO sightings. I know that Sadhguru did some videos while he was there in Mount Kailash and right next to the lake as well, and referring to UFO sightings. And that is something that I know caught a lot of people's attention that follow him, that looks on his YouTube channel. For me, it caught my attention when he brought up that with UFOs. I said, whoa. That's taboo right there. Bringing in religion and extraterrestrials, you're gonna be twisting a lot of underwear there. And
Yeah.
so
But it goes back thousands of years. So way before the concept of ET, which is pop culture, modern culture, and science fiction. No, the reports of this go back millennia.
and that's why it's a location that has to be addressed, especially today when talking about the mysteries of the mountains around the world, because this is one that just had its fair share of sightings, not
Isn't it
just for
beautiful?
10, 20 years, but as you said, for millennia. And it's also it's it's sacred, it's deeply respected, and that just adds another layer of intrigue, I think, for a lot of people, especially in the western part of the world. And so when we're looking at this image, which this image, by the way, is AI generated. Okay, I just want to mention that. But it looks very similar to the actual Mount Kailash. When we bring in the aspects of myth, of religion, people say, "Oh, it's just that." We don't have to look any deeper into it. But for many researchers that look into this, There is, as they say, a nugget of truth behind every myth and every legend. Could that be the case here? And then the question would be why? Why are you bringing in ET with these religious figures? Or could it be that these gods have been misinterpreted as ET or vice versa? It's all about
Yeah,
perception.
yeah. How many times? That's why I love our community so much. In that we have been postulating and thinking about that aspect of things forever, right? And now I think that more and more people are understanding and opening up their minds to that. Just maybe these references in religious text in the past are ET. That they didn't have another word for it then. And the other part about it, and then we can move on, we'll pick another location. Here's the other part about it is that you can, so many believe in angels or higher powers or deities and so forth. And steadfastly believe in that. Great. But they have issues with ET and ghosts, right? It's just like, wait a minute here. You can't have it both ways because I think that there is a general fear of that everything is connected. Oh, wait a minute. What? Right. And yeah. And I think that science is slowly going to pull us in that direction. We're just talking about the same things. We've just got different names for it.
And that's where the confusion lies. It's those titles that just kind of throw people off and say, no, it's not yours, it's mine, or what you're talking about is totally different from what I'm talking about, but it has the same characteristics and just a different name. Before we move on, I do want to mention just very quickly about the Shambhala land or
Oh, no,
city
let's go
or
there. Let's go.
town.
Let's go to Shambhala.
You know
Let's
about
go.
it? That's
I
exciting.
do. I do.
I
When
didn't
I
know
was
about it until today.
when I was a kid, this was a long time ago, but I hope your parents are still watching because they'll laugh about this. There was a band called Three Dog Night. All right. And on this album, and we're talking about 1970, they had a song called Shambhala. All right. Now, the whole album was great, but that song stuck out for me. And I read the lyrics and everything, and it's about Shambhala. And everything that we know about Shambhala today is in that song. And so I have always been on my own mystic quest, right, for Shambhala because of that song. And it has meant so much to me. And so I've chased it down and I've studied Shambhala over the years and I've watched the movies and I've read the stories. But yeah, there is a lot of historical reference to Shambhala and quite a few trips to go and find this place. Where do you think it is, Christina?
No one's been able to find it, but it's believed, as the rumors go and the stories that date back centuries, that it is somewhere in the Himalayan mountains, um, and in between. So it's like in between the Himalayan mountains and the Gobi Desert, possibly. But I'm bringing it up because it's in a similar location as to Mount Kailash, with a similar aspect to it where you are bringing in this aspect of religion. But what's really interesting about the place, as the rumors go, because no one's actually been, or those that have gone did not return or did not tell the story of how it went, but it's believed to be a location, a town of absolute peace, of harmony. Some believe that it's a take you into a different realm. It's like a gateway to another location, maybe. Um, who knows, right? But it's been passed down. The Dalai Lama has talked about it as well, but it's been passed down by Buddhist monks and by Hindu practitioners as well, talking about this location. But it's mainly a mystical Buddhist kingdom that is said to exist between the Himalaya mountains and the Gobi Desert. And it's where people can go to achieve enlightenment, Possibly, and it is the embodiment of Tibetan Buddhist perfection as well.
You have I watched a movie. I talked about this on Fade to Black last year. The name of the movie escapes me right now. 1955 or something this movie came out, and I just happened to find anyway about a plane crash. These people, these tourists, they take off, or whatever happens. The plane crashes in the Himalayan mountains, and they're freezing cold, and the plane is in the snow, and this guy comes out of nowhere, right, with the staff, and he's comes up and rescues them, and they follow. There's like 20 people on this plane, and they follow him through the mountains, and comes up to this cave. They go through the cave, and they pop out the other side. Shambhala, right? And it's green, it's lush, and it's full of all of these enlightened people, and it's a it's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie, but it's movies like that and the stories behind this that expeditions have been done. Nicholas and Helena Roerich led an expedition in 1924 through 1928, 4 years, didn't find it. In 1925, Gleb Baki, the chief Bolshevik cryptographer and one of the bosses of the Soviet secret police, along with his writer Alfred Alexander Barchenko, they also went on a quest to find Shambhala. Didn't find it. That was in 1925. Hitler, we all know the stories, right? Hitler sent one expedition after another into the Himalayas, not only to find Shambhala, but they were trying to find Agartha, the inner earth, right? The entrance to the hollow earth. And they thought it was somewhere between the Himalayan mountains and the Gobi Desert. They didn't find it either. Does Shambhala exist? Symbolically, sure. Enlightened perfection and the achievement of this, well, that's always the goal. So yeah, sure. Symbolically, I think it existed. Doctor Strange references Shambhala. Yes. Very well played, Mark. Absolutely. Who's the Asian guy in Doctor Strange? He's always the hero in each of the. Okay, it doesn't matter. Moving on, but yeah, I think he's from Shambhala.
I will say, if you are enjoying the show thus far, hit that like button right down below. We're going to move on to our next topic. Jimmy picked that one, so I'm going to pick the next one. Of course, we have to just barely touch on the Brown Mountain Lights in North Carolina. Of course, Mount Shasta as well, Superstition Mountain. These are all in the United States. They're all very famous ones. And so I'm just going to very quickly touch on the Brown Mountain Lights for those that say, how could you do this show and not talk about those several ones that I just mentioned? I hear you. I got you. But hopefully, we're going to be covering some ones that you didn't know about, never heard of. Those are my favorite comments when you say, Christina, Jimmy, I never heard about this one. Like, that's the highlight of my day. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will touch on the Brown Mountain Lights, which is in North Carolina. And it's a long-standing and enigmatic phenomenon with reports dating back to at least 1913 in modern written accounts as far back as to 1200 CE in Cherokee legends. Now, the Cherokee associated these mysterious lights with the spirits of Indian maidens searching for their deceased husbands after a great battle near the mountain, while others believe they might represent eternal ghosts or the spirits of slaves. This got so much attention through all of the years since they said, okay, maybe it must be something natural. Maybe it is a natural occurring phenomena at Brown Mountain. And so a lot of research has been done. There's been a lot of theories and ideas onto what's going on there. But Jimmy, you've been looking into it for quite some time. What have you found scientific wise when it comes to Brown Mountain?
Lots of studies. I've had Micah Hanks on the
Oh, yeah.
show quite a bit. He lives in that area, and he's done a lot of research. I'm going to say that because of the indigenous references that go back historically a very long ways, that I'm going spirits. And the thank you, Genocide coming in strong with $5 for the
Thanks,
RV fund.
Genocide.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. The he's been up there to Mount Adams with me, by the way, Genocide. So he's seen some of the crazy stuff. He can back up some of my things. Anyway, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I'm going with spirits now. Ball lightning and maybe something a geological feature and the makeup of the area. Yeah, that's a possibility. There have been lots of studies there, but the ball lightning aspect of it, science can't get a foothold on that either. So just maybe this is something spiritual and something interdimensional. The phenomena itself is real. The sightings in the Brown Mountains and in that valley have gone on for years and years and years and years. So the phenomena itself is real. I'm going spiritual. I think it's something interdimensional.
And so the lights themselves, do they do vary in color for those that have witnessed it for themselves? Because it happens once every few years, but I mean, like, honestly, frequently enough to people to be able to calculate it. It's you have a higher chance of seeing them in the summer, and so the colors vary, depend like including white, red, yellow, orange, blue, and range in appearance from large balls of fire to small candle lights. There have been theories that they could be car lights, but that doesn't explain going past or prior to 1913, right? And there were also mentions of ball of lightning having to do with that aspect of electricity, or that the mountain is creating it naturally through the minerals that are there.
Mhm.
But as you had mentioned, Jimmy, no one has a definite answer. And so to this day, it is a very, very big tourist location for those hoping to witness the brown mountain lights for themselves. Now, getting into our next one, Claire, I don't want to hit on that one for too long, but the next one is might be one of my favorite places to mention now that I actually have it in writing here versus from my mind, and that is Popocatepetl. It's just so fun to say. It just rolls off the tongue so nice. It doesn't, but it's nice to say. This this mountain volcano, it's one that it's constantly on the news with UFO sightings. And what's really cool about this volcano in particular is that there is a live camera always shooting at this volcano, and you can find that stream on YouTube, and it runs 24/7. People have captured very strange objects coming in and out of this volcano, but this has had its fair share of sightings and stories for centuries. And so here, people have seen, as I had mentioned, UFOs coming in and out of it, but also seeing lights and orbs in there as well that are kind of hovering over the area, over the entrance specifically, with strange colored lights. And it's one that it was in the news, I think it was in February of 2023, where someone a Mexican couple, they were taking a selfie, and they had captured a UFO coming out of it by accident. I thought it was super
Yeah,
awesome.
there are okay. If we are going to point at something and say alien base, right? It's probably here. It's so documented, so many videos. I've seen hundreds of videos of things coming in and out of the mountain. When there's volcanic activity, it also kicks up. It's very, 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 very strange. Now, so when we have theories of this being an alien base, yeah, this is a candidate, yeah, for sure, for sure. Jaime Maussan has so many videos. Like you said, there's a live stream. You can watch the live. I don't know about you, but I've sat and watched that live stream. Maybe
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
I know. Maybe I'm going to get lucky. But Jaime does a pretty good presentation of this, and he has captured so many different objects coming in and out of the mountains. But I watched Jaime do a public presentation at a conference, and I sat there, and he spent it was about 15 minutes of video of stuff that I've got to say pretty strange. Now, I'm not saying it's aliens, right? I'm not saying it, but it's just pretty bizarre because we have got lots of eyewitness testimony of different things in and around mountains from around the world, and I've seen my stuff too as well. It's not like here. I mean, it is strange. I mean, objects you would want to have a rational explanation of this, that it's something natural. It's okay, exiting. Okay, all right, I can see. But when you have the opposite happen, when something is going into, coming from the sky and coming down and into the top of this volcano, that's where it gets strange to me. So yeah, if there's a candidate for an alien base, I'm going Popocatepetl. I am.
It's a location that has not only had its fair share of UFO sightings, but it's also a respected volcano in that area for the previous cultures and in modern times as well. But the volcano has also been considered a gateway or a connection to the gods, with its eruption interpreted as messages or anger from the deities. And we've heard this time and time again. But uh, looking at this, people back in ancient times, and we can even say up to today, they respect nature, especially when dealing with volcanoes, which is a whole different beast because it can create amazing nutrient filled soil to help with your crops, or it could ruin you like Pompeii. Okay. And so here, this volcano Popocatepetl is no exception to that. And I just really want to highlight that there is a 24-hour stream pointed at the mountain. If you just type in that volcano into YouTube, you'll be able to watch that stream, and maybe you'll catch something really cool. Yes, just like Jimmy, I thought that I could get lucky once, twice, like 5 times maybe. And I said, I'm just going to look at the stream and stare at it for hours. My eyes started glazing over. I had to take out my contacts and put on my glasses, and I said, I don't know if I can do this
I've
for
done it.
that many hours.
I've done it. Every time I see a video from there, and there'll be a link, to the live stream, and I'll click. Okay, maybe something's going on, and 4 hours later, talk about time dilation, right? And you sit there and stare at it. But yeah, absolutely. Okay, what are we doing next? I'm looking at the clock. We've got lots to go. Can I pick?
Do. Yes, you can after we answer Android's question. Thank you, by the way. Has anyone tried camping on Brown Mountain to video it up close? Yes. Yes, you can probably find it on YouTube. But because it's a phenomenon that has been happening and it has been documented since 1912, there have been thousands of people that have camped there and have attempted to capture and the anomaly for themselves. And many have failed, but some have succeeded. And there have been research groups that have conducted research, obviously, and taken photographs and videos as well. Micah was a part of one of those groups. Gosh, I want to say like in the 90s.
Oh, he's done it.
Early
He's done it
2000s.
many times. So the question is, when are you going to Brown Mountain?
When I get that RV under my name, I'm heading over.
Man, I'm telling you, I've always wanted to go to Brown Mountain. That whole area, by the way, from Brown Mountain and heading west, full of caves, full of caverns.
I thought you were gonna say cake, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, caves everywhere, Smoky Mountains. So that Mammoth Cave, all of that is right there. So geologically, it's a very, very, very special area. But yeah, we got to go to Brown Mountain. I'm down. I'm down for that. Let's do. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Macdui.
Okay, this one I was really excited because it was a brand new one to me. I was not familiar with this one. And I said, if I don't know about it, other people aren't going to know about it. And that's what made me really happy. So I'm going to share my screen here and take it away, Jimmy.
Yeah, Ben Macdui. Let me. I'm going to put this in the chat too. Let me pop this in the chat so everybody can know how to spell it and know how to go and find it. This is in Scotland. And it's not very big, by the way. It's it qualifies as a mountain. I'm going to call it a hill because it's only 4,295 feet. Okay, so not a mountain, but it depends, right? So if you're at sea level and you're looking at something that's a mile high. Okay, all right. But if you're already at 2,000 feet, then you're looking at a hill, in front of you. But
poor guys in Scotland, they're very proud of this mountain, and mountain is in the title.
It is the highest peak in the Cairngorm Plateau and the second highest mountain in Scotland. For most climbers, the greatest fear of tackling Ben Macdui can be meeting up with the mysterious gray man that haunts the upper regions of the mountain. Ben Macdui's famous gray man, it's called Amphir Liath Mór in Scottish Gaelic, first hit the headlines in 1925 when the Cairngorm Club Journal published a story recounting the incredible tale detailed that year's annual general meeting of the Cairngorm Club in Aberdeen by the club's honorary president, Professor John Norman Colley. In addition to being the first professor of organic chemistry at the University of London and a fellow of the Royal Society, Colley was seen as one of the most proficient and esteemed mountaineers of the time.
Jimmy, can I just add one thing? Just it's important because Colley, he was also responsible for the first ever medical X-ray photograph. Okay, continue, Jimmy.
Can you give me a minute to get to that?
It was important when you were just shouting him out with all of his cool credentials.
Can you give me a minute? Okay, now I have to skip over that. Let me skip over the X-ray with my X-ray vision. His climbing experience ranged from the Himalayas all the way to the Rocky Mountains. And so, but he wasn't a loud guy. He was the opposite of me. So when he was around strangers, he was reserved, right? He wasn't outspoken. But he turned around and claimed that this happened in 1891 when he got to the summit of Ben Macdui. This is a quote from his journal. Give me a minute. I'm going to read the entire thing. Remember, this guy was credentialed. Also shot the first X-ray image. I don't know if you know that. Quote,
I didn't know that. Thank you.
I was returning from the cairn on the summit in the mist when I began to think I heard something else that merely the noise of my own footsteps. Every few steps I took, I heard a crunch and then another crunch as if someone was walking after me, but taking steps 3 or 4 times the length of my own. Dun, dun, dun. I said to myself, this is all nonsense. I listened and heard it again, but could see nothing in the mist. As I walked on and the eerie crunch crunch sounded behind me, I was seized with terror and I took to my heels, staggering blindly among the boulders for 4 or 5 miles, nearly down the forest. Whatever you make of it, I do not know, but there is something very queer about the top of Ben Macdui, and I will not go back there again myself. I know. Now, this is the thing. They say what everybody's experiencing, and there are many accounts of the gray man in the mist. They say that what everyone is experiencing is known as Brocken Spectre. It's when your own shadow is cast on mist below when you're climbing with the sun to your back. Now, I did not know this. I've never heard of the Brocken Spectre, taking its name for the Brocken, a peak in the Harz Mountains in Germany. The phenomenon was first observed and described in 1780 by Johann Silberschlag. That is his name, by the way.
Silberschlag? That's
Silber.
an awesome last name.
Silberschlag. Yes, that's his name. Johann. But yeah, right now, don't you think that Kali would have been smart enough to know that he was seeing his own shadow in the mist?
Right. This
Now,
guy's brilliant.
yeah. Now
Or was brilliant.
He was listening to this. Now, and he's got a couple of other accounts where he has described this in the past, but others, they have shot at this shadow in the mist. Yeah. And in this one account, before we move on, I don't want to interrupt you. This one account, this guy says, "Man, I have my trusty, revolver at my side, and I'm watching this guy come at me, and I'm like, man, you better slow down. I've got a gun." And he kept coming at me. I took it out. I fired 3 shots. It still came at me. So I turned around and ran down the mountain back to the village. Now, don't you think, right, that if it's your own shadow? And he described it as coming at him and continued to come at him as he shot. So I don't think, right, that that's a shadow that you're seeing. Now, it could be something else, but it's not the Brocken Spectre of Johann Silberschlag. That's his name.
It's an awesome last name. But see, maybe it got confused in the wording when he said shadow, and so maybe he meant shadow people, shadow person, had the hat man, the old hag kind of deal, because those are shadow people, shadows in the word, but they're chasing you, and no, they're not going to follow your footsteps exactly like a shadow does.
Yeah. Crazy. And again, this is part of I say majestic, and the mysteries that surround mountains. I'm going to say this really quick. I was with a couple of friends and we hike up Mount Waterman. During the day, as we started our hike, the sun is out. It's beautiful. It's like 3-4 hours up this path. It's like an 8-mile hike, and you get to the top. You can look up Mount Waterman, everybody, and Wikipedia this and go see it for yourself. So we hike up. And while we are on top, and it's these boulders, as we're going up, I'm looking down at these cliffs, and I'm thinking to myself, "Is that Mount Waterman?"
No, this is.
Oh, okay, that's another mountain.
Yes,
and I'm looking and I'm thinking, man, you don't want to slip and fall here. Now the path is wide, it's 3-4 feet wide, not that big of a deal in the sunlight. All right, you just know that it's treacherous. And if you fall, bad things are going to happen, right? Okay. All right. You see that. We get to the top. And while we are there with these boulders and this thing, it was beautiful. mist rolls in, fog. And we're like, man, let's head back down the mountain. We couldn't find the path that we came up on,
Just like in the
right?
movies.
Yeah. The fog is so thick. Finally, we get there and we find the path, and we're going down. You can't even see like 2 feet in front of you. It is that thick, the fog. And we're going down, and you have to look at your feet and take one step at a time. It's like half as fast as when we were coming up. Now you've got to, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. And I'm looking at the fog. Like, wasn't there a cliff here? Right? Oh man. Yeah. People disappearing on mountains. I'm telling you right now, that's how it happens.
Fog and cliffs. It's not a good
I'm
combo. That's when a puckwudgie comes and pushes you off the edge. And that's it. It's game over from there.
I'm telling you, the whole way down, I'm just remembering what I was thinking when we were coming up. Watch your step. And now we're doing it in complete thick fog. I had no idea. I remember this is how thick the fog was. Talking about the mysteries of the mountains. I remember coming down off of the path and walking out and like hitting a street, and where the parking lot was, where our car was parked. I didn't know that we were coming off of the mountain. Didn't know. It was that thick. Next thing I know, we were in the parking lot.
That's insane.
Had no clue.
No.
All right. What are we doing next?
Laurie, thank you. Jessica, thank you so much as always. The next one we're going to get into, very quickly actually about this mountain biggish hills, as Jimmy says in Ben Macdui, is also, I'm making this very quick, is that also there have been anecdotal accounts of climbers and hikers. They notice that when they bring their dogs emit this strange behavior, and dogs refuse to proceed and appear to be spooked, and to wildlife suddenly falling silent, and as if they're anticipating something there. Again, those are just mere anecdotal accounts, but it's always important that when you are hiking anywhere, and if you are going alone, definitely please do take a dog with you, because they're able to sense things that you simply cannot, or at least not as fast as them, and you want to take their word for it. Okay? I'm just putting it out there. So that was really interesting. There have also been encounters with ghosts, the paranormal, and also distortion of time as well in those areas for hikers. And there's also been UFO sightings as well. So the next one I wanted to get into here. Let's talk about, okay. I'm gonna give you a guess, Jimmy. One or two?
Mount Shasta.
That wasn't your guess. One or two?
Oh. Two.
Okay, that's Superstition Mountain. We're gonna get into that one, and we'll make it brief, because I know many people are familiar with it.
Where is Superstition Mountain?
Hold on, let me pull this up first. Superstition Mountain, pretty sure, is in Arizona. I gotta pull up my notes, because that just shows you that I cannot live without my notes. Let me just. Where are you? Come on. Okay. Yes, it's in Arizona. I was right.
I was going to say, let's just go to number one.
No, it's too late. You already picked number two. So, Superstition Mountain is located in Arizona, and it's surrounded in a rich tapestry, lovely, of myths and legends and folklore, with the Native American tribes in that area, or that used to be in that area. And so, with the Pima Indians, for instance, they believe that the mountains guarded an ancient storehouse of precious metals and treasures. And according to their folklore, um, those who sought these treasures are likely to meet their demise. And then, of course, that's going to bring in with the lost Dutchman mines, and then people that have gone into the mountain attempting to look for that treasure, and they were either beheaded, or they got lost, or murdered in really strange ways. And so, first of all, the name is perfect for this location. It's It's a strange place. Not everyone that goes there has strange encounters, but it does have very odd weather. Yes, it's very hot, but it does also snow there. There have been really insane fires, like some of the biggest fires in Arizona have taken place in Mount Shasta. And people ask themselves, how is that even possible? It seems a little sketch, don't you think? And that's why it's called Superstition Mountain. But with this, there was Rudolph Ruth back in 1932. He was a veterinarian and he ventured into the mountains seeking the lost Dutchman's gold with supposed maps to the treasure. And
Mhm.
then, dun dun dun, he just disappears. But it
Mhm.
gets even crazier because his remains were found months later, with his skull showing two large circular holes in it. And despite claims to have found the gold, no directions were ever discovered. And so there have been a lot of rumors. There's even been TV shows of people attempting to find the leads with the maps that they have been given or they could find online, maybe, of trying to look for this gold. But as the natives had mentioned, there is some kind of god there that is protecting the treasures. But see, it is the moral of the story here is that greed will kill you, and there's no exception.
Would you go? Would you go and search for the lost Dutchman's mine? A lot of people have done it.
And all of them
And
have failed, or the ones that have succeeded haven't told anybody.
I mean, that sounds now today we have drones, right? You don't have to necessarily hike all the way into the mountains, but you
Right.
could take some gear with you, some technology with you, and possibly what they say: where there's smoke, there's fire. And
Right.
I think that the Lost Dutchman's mine is there. It's just hot, it's dry, it's gnarly, it's treacherous, it's not easy, and yeah, it's very, very, very dangerous. But I would do it. I would do it. I need the motivation, right? I would have to have some people around me going, yeah, let's go do this. I wouldn't do it by myself, but yeah, I would do it.
It's never a good idea to go into the desert by yourself, especially if you don't know how to cook cactus or eat fruit. You're a goner. You're bye-bye. But yes, going with a group or maybe with a crew as well. Yeah, you have that motivation factor. Now, would you go actually for the treasure in order to like make bajillions of dollars, if that? Maybe not, but just to find it and just to have those bragging rights, heck yeah, people have been looking for it since before 1932. Nobody's found it. That's almost 100 years that people have been searching, and people look every single year. Now, recently, there haven't been that many disappearances or people that have died there. But there are a handful of cases where it's the thing is when you're dealing with nature, all right, it's not friendly. It's not. It's
I was with
beautiful,
I was
okay,
with a
but
friend right here, and he had a Range Rover Defender or Range Rover Discovery, some crazy 4-wheel drive competition vehicle, and he's going to take his 5-part harnesses and we're going to go 4-wheeling. This is in the middle of the day, and we pull over. He goes into this convenience store and he comes out with 2 big bags full of stuff. And he said, now go get the case of water. Case of water. So I go and I get the case of water that he purchased. And I said, what's in the bag? So he goes, survival stuff. I said, like what? Beef jerky, this, that, Canterbury. I said, where are we going? He goes, look, man, it's the Superstition Mountains and anything can happen out there. So just in case, we need to make sure that we survive. I'm like, dude, what? But actually, now looking back at the time I laughed, he did the absolute right thing. Christina, he did the absolute right thing. I never ate. I never drank any of the water. I didn't get to the Hostess Twinkies or the beef jerky. Didn't touch any of that. but just in case, look at that. And I remember being out there, the roll cage and everything was 110 degrees. It was really, really hot, and there's no water. There's nothing. So yeah, be prepared. Go with friends. Don't do it alone. But I would go. I would go
And
look for the lost Dutchman mine.
but also always bring a backpack with food and water because you don't want to get hangry at the very least. But when it comes to Superstition Mountain, well, there are a handful of legends there. There's also some very strange UFO sightings. There have been very strange cryptid sightings as well. People have allegedly seen reptilians there or like larger dinosaurs, right? Like, you can get the two confused, myself included, right? I've never seen either, so I wouldn't know. But with this, and we're going to bring in Mount Shasta as well because they have some similarities. One of them being that there is a belief that there is a UFO, an alien base under Superstition Mountain, but also inside of Mount Shasta. And so this is a great transition, Jimmy, to bring us into our next location. And what's that next location, by the way?
Mount Shasta.
Oof, that was a close one. You almost dropped the ball there.
Mount Shasta. And when you drive north, or south, but when you drive north out of California and you're approaching the Oregon border, you can see Mount Shasta. It's just sitting out there covered in snow. There it is right there. And it's pretty cool. It is. It is. Lots of movies, lots of stories, lots of books, lots of people live there that have a certain belief system about Lemuria and Mount Shasta. All of that is centered around the lost continent of Lemuria. The legend grew because of an offhanded mention of Lemuria in the 1880s to a description of a hidden Lemurian village there. And that happened again in 1925. And in 1931, Harvey Spencer Lewis, using the pseudonym Wisher Curve, wrote the book Lemuria, The Lost Continent of the Pacific, about the hidden Lemurians of Mount Shasta, that pretty much solidified the legend that we know today. I've been to Mount Shasta, a few times. I've been there alone. I've been there with people. Okay. I keep getting my foot tangled up in my motorcycle boots. Not my foot, my headphones. They get, it's weird. There's a perfect slot in the bottom of my boots that swallows my headphone cord. It's like bizarre. I've been there alone. I've been there with groups of people. I've high expectations of things. I've heard all of the stories. I've read the books. I've seen, and I've got close friends that have seen very strange things about Mount Shasta. I can't share that experience. I haven't had anything. I have a ghost story from Mount Shasta. Yeah, I've got that, but Mount Shasta itself, I don't have those experiences. I would love to have them.
Yes. But also when we're dealing with California, Northern California mainly, or like middle to northern, is when you're getting a lot of very strange UFO sightings. It's a UFO. All of California is a UFO hotspot. And when you're just touching that border between California and Washington, it's just this bizarre, it's not even monster soup, but it's like Bigfoot cryptid soup all going on right there. And it's just wild. And Mount Shasta is no exception. There have been UFO sightings. There's believed to be a base there. There have been UFOs coming in and seen coming in and out of there. But there's also been a handful of UFO sightings. And then we have to ask the big fun question here. Is there a connection between UFOs and Bigfoot. And this is like one of my favorite questions because there's a lot of speculation. There are a handful of stories on it. And I think this is a very appropriate time to talk about it just because of this location in particular has both, and they're both rather significant. But before we do that, KG, thank you for that. Check out Longdendale Lights in the Peak District of England. I've never heard of it. I will definitely look it up. And thank you so much for supporting the channel as well. All right, Jimmy. So, getting into
Yes.
this, I got to ask you the question. I know I've asked you before, but gosh, that was like what, 6 months, 12 months, 14 months ago. I'm going to revise that question because maybe, just maybe, your opinion has changed since then. So, what's the connection, if any, between UFOs and Bigfoot?
Oh, there's a huge connection. You almost don't have one without the other. There's that part of it, and then I've interviewed quite a few people on Fade to Black that live in this area about Bigfoot, and then the connection with Bigfoot and UFOs. And without going off into that tangent too much, I'm going to share a story that was recounted to me about an experience on Mount Shasta. This couple, nothing to do with crystal hugging new aginess, right? Which is a big part of the community there at Shasta, and I get that and understand that, and I love it because I am a crystal hugging new ager to a degree. This couple is skiing on the mountain. The wife breaks her ski. They have to walk down the mountain. They're walking down and get lost. And this old man shows up out of nowhere with a bird on his shoulder. He's got a beard, dressed in white, got a staff. It's Gandalf, right? But with a parrot. So anyway, he says, "Follow me." And they do. And they follow him down the mountain. They come up to a road, and a car comes by and picks them up and rescues them. They turn around to say thank you, and he's gone. And they look down, and there's no footprints in the snow, only theirs. So they go to town, and they're like, "Who's the old dude on the mountain?" "Ah, well, you just met so-and-so." Right? And now this is a couple that doesn't understand or know anything about the myth and the lore of Mount Shasta and a belief in the supernatural or anything like that. They're just skiing. But they encountered this, and this is part of Mount Shasta. And you hear these stories all the time. You hear the stories of the tunnels in Mount Shasta, the lava tubes, and those that inhabit this area. And yeah, there is a city underneath Mount Shasta, and it's been there for a very long time. And they are the survivors, the former inhabitants of Lemuria. Now, is it all connected to the mythology of a story that was told in the 1800s and then a book that was written about it later, and it has grown into this? I'm not so sure. But again, this is just part of the majesty that a mountain brings you.
You can never go wrong with this Gandalf story. I've heard it before, but it's just one that it's a classic. It's a classic case. And it's one that people would classify as a type of mystical experience of they were lost, someone guided them, but was it an actual person per se? And so then that's a whole different like can of worms that people can open on their own time, or just take a moment to kind of think about it while you're sitting right here watching this or listening to this on a podcast, which by the way, the video link is in the description box below if you do want to catch all the visuals that we're sharing here. And Tasaka, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate you right here. But the thing is, with this particular story, People brush it off and say, "Ah, it's just a story and that's that." But when these stories add up and they share levels of similarity, that's when people say, okay, there must be something to this, especially when you are dealing with Mount Shasta specifically, where you are getting so many weird things happening in that location. And even if you are not into the strange and the mysterious, first of all, like, why are you listening? Maybe you want to open your mind and rock on to you. Like, that's awesome. But even just the view is stunning. Even just the drive is worth your time. Now, if you do encounter something, man, you are in for a whirlpool after that if you've never had a sighting before of any kind. But this is a location that's definitely on my bucket list of places to go with the RV, just because it has that strangeness to it, but also that immense beauty as well that you simply can't miss.
I was driving and I'm alone. Man, I got to go over to Shasta. And this wasn't that long ago. Now I've done the drive between LA and Shasta now. I probably a half a dozen times over the last couple of years. So I do it a lot. And so I'm on this road trip and I'm like, let's go to Shasta. Hang a right hand turn off of the 5 and I pull into town. I'm just there just to drive through and grab something to eat, but it's a little bit of a drive over and half hour. And I drive over to Shasta and I go in to this restaurant that is there. And I'm sitting there so so and it's the lady that took my order. It's literally, what's the word that I want to use? Coffee shop kind of thing. And I go, so ever see a UFO or Bigfoot? Ah, that's the other people in town. It was kind of funny how she reacted. The other people, and I said, yeah, but she goes, look, there's normal people here too. I was like, wow, okay, we got a line in the sand here. It's us and them. So yeah, because of I think that Shasta attracts, and I was just watching a documentary series about some people that live up at Shasta. I'm not going to get into that, but Shasta attracts because it's such a beautiful location. It just is. And I've got lots of friends that live there that talk about things all the time. I just personally, Christina, I haven't had the experience. I did have a ghost. Had a ghost in my house up there in a Airbnb. That was pretty weird, and that was real. That was bona fide. That really happened. But I haven't seen a UFO or Bigfoot up there.
Are you going to tell us the story?
About the ghost? Yeah, I'll tell you the ghost story. So I've got my iPad. I'm in this house that's built in like 1880, and there's no TV or stereo or anything in this Airbnb. It's a beautiful house. And it was historically correct. Vintage furniture, vintage this, and they had this armoire in the bedroom that had a wedding dress in it. And I thought that was pretty funky. But there was a sign in this picture, and this wedding dress was worn in 1920 by so and so, and there's a picture of it. Okay, so very cool. I'm in bed, got my iPad, right? iPad out. Next to me is the bedroom door, and the bedroom door had one of those old timey door handles that are made of glass, right? Have you seen? Okay, so but the door itself, you had to push it to shut it, like to latch it. It was like a struggle, but it would catch, and it was also hard to open. You had to twist the thing to pop the door open. So anyway, door's closed. I'm in bed, iPad. And as I live and breathe, that frigging door handle turned and the door popped open. And I'm looking and it, right? It squeaks open and I'm looking at it. And I didn't get out of bed to go and look. I left it just like that, man. I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't, and I heard that door handle turning. I mean, I looked and then I saw it pop open. I saw the whole thing. Saw it happen. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And some things, Cristina, and I'm here to tell the audience, sometimes you just leave it alone. You just do. I could have gotten up out of the warm bed, put the thing down and gone and investigated. No. Just leave the door like that. I'm going to pull up the covers a little bit further. And I'm just going to leave this alone. But that happened in Shasta. It did.
That's a fun story.
It's a true story. Exactly as I'm telling you. That little crystal knob turning. Woo!
That was enough. You were like, that was a good highlight for the day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Another great Mysteries with the History. I'll see everybody next week. Tonight on Fade to Black, we've got, talk about Mysteries with the History. Got Mike Cleland on the show tonight, Cristina. Owls and UFOs. Tonight,
well, Jimmy,
the messengers.
That's exciting. Well, today is our very first Mysteries with a History of 2024.
Oh, great.
Happy New Year.
A great way to, Happy New Year to you and to everybody else. And it's a great way to kick off the year. There you go. Thank you so much, Cristina. Good luck for that RV.
Another fantastic show, as they always are every single Thursday. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, as we do 3 live shows right here on this channel every single week. Tomorrow will be Strange News, and of course that will be live. So make sure to hit that notification bell so that you do not miss it, so that we're able to have these one-on-one conversations just like this. If you need help relaxing, falling asleep, meditating, or using your imagination to traverse the universe, take a look at my space ambient music channel called Cosmic Portals. It's right here. Wait, where? Hello. And so subscribe today, number 1, because I have a brand new track coming out this evening. And if you love Blade Runner, you're going to love this next track. I swear to you, it's so good. And it's a track to fall asleep. It is a longer version. It's about 8 hours. So if you ever need help sleeping, you have insomnia like myself, this channel is going to be your best friend. It's called Cosmic Portals. And the great thing now is that I have a QR code. So if you're watching this on a laptop, grab your handy dandy cell phone, take a picture of this, and I'll take you to all of the social media links, including that music channel. No need to type it in anymore. We're in 2024. We live in modern, very exciting times. You don't need to type. You just scan and it'll take you there. So here, this QR code will give you all of those links. Go ahead and scan that right now. Thank you. So I don't have to say, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, check out the Discord. Does it all for me, man. Like crazy. 2024 is a hot year so far. But yes, follow me on Twitter at eyes_on_the_skies. And if you want to continue this conversation, bring it over to the Discord server with almost 3,000 like-minded members. Share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, and more. I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live, all the super chats, super stickers, YouTube members, Patreon supporters, which let me tell you, 2024 is so stinking exciting because I have some hot stuff dropping on Patreon coming very, very soon. Like, you have no idea how stoked I am. No one knows about it above me, and you will soon know about it. So I'm telling you, you want to check it out soon. But that is it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.